Hello, I'm here talking to Alan Bentley from Blancco. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Scott.
So, Alan, before we get into what we're going to talk about today, why don't you just quickly introduce your company to the Telecoms.com audience?
Sure. So Blancco are a leading provider of mobile diagnostic and erasure software, and we've been operating in the mobile market space for about 6 or 7 years now. It's one of our key revenue generating opportunities for us. And we're right across the mobile ecosystem, so it's not just the back of house sort of mobile processing. We work with retailers and operators at the front of house, so looking how with a consumer-facing app, so looking at no fault found, warranty, leasing, insurance, and buyback trading, which is obviously one of the main reasons.
Well, there we go. Yeah. So one of the reasons that people would want a service that reliably erases a phone is if they wanted to resell a second-hand phone or a secondary device market phone, that you call it.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. Yeah.
So I know, because I wrote about it earlier on this week, that you've commissioned a report looking into consumer attitudes to the secondary device market. So why don't you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, we did. I mean, we've been tracking the kind of changes with 5G for a while now, and we thought we've been saying, and we've been looking at other people that have been saying similar things in the marketplace, that 5G could present an opportunity for people to move into a quicker cycle on buying a new phone. And so we wanted to get an idea kind of what the consumer sentiment would be around that. So if 5G is coming out in 2020, mass adoption, what do consumers think about trading in a device, and would they think about it at that inflection point?
And what do they think?
Well, so the report came back and said that about 68% of the respondents said that they would trade in a secondary device at the point of 5G to get a new device, which we found very interesting because that's a significant uptake from the last time we ran a report about consumer confidence in trading and whether they'd ever been offered a trade-in. So it's a significant uptake, and if we kind of extrapolate those numbers and say, well, if 68% of people now are willing to trade in a device when they move to a new device with 5G, that's quite a lot of devices going into the secondary device market. I mean, analysts are saying around about 200 million. You know, this could represent twice as many as that, and even 3 times. Now, you know, we're not saying that absolutely those are the number of devices that will go back into the secondary market, but we certainly believe, based on the report with consumer sentiment, that there's going to be a deluge of secondary devices coming back into the marketplace.
Yeah, that makes sense. Generally, when you get a new generation, I mean, when I wrote about your report earlier on this week, I noted that device makers have been struggling to come up with a sort of compelling new feature to make people upgrade, but obviously a new generation of air interface is one of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you're absolutely right, Scott. I mean, it's an interesting kind of, you know, for some of the data you see, that it's actually the life cycle of staying on a phone is getting longer, not shorter, which obviously the manufacturers of phones don't want that. And so, you know, we believe absolutely that 5G is kind of a compelling event.
Okay, and then for the Telecoms.com audience, which is people within the telecoms industry, operators and so on, why do you think this should be of interest to them?
Well, it doesn't really matter where they sit in the mobile life cycle. This is of interest to them because it shows there's going to be new devices, but also they're going to have to, if they want to get involved in trying to create some revenue or consumer confidence or customer satisfaction, they're going to have to put in place proper plans on how they would actually manage that kind of trading, if that's part of what they do as a business. And I think that plenty of your readers will have that as part of their business, whether it's a retailer, operator, whether it's a buyback trading company, whether it's insurance or warranty, that, you know, they're all involved in that mobile ecosystem life cycle. So any inflection point where there are new devices coming in or a number of consumers wanting to trade in secondary devices, they're going to have to do it somewhere, right? They're going to have a process, and how you put that process in place will determine how many people then do that trade in. Of course, there's lots of value in that whole secondary device market. I think IDC are predicting it's going to be around a $67 billion market just on its own. So just on its own, and that's a significant market segment to get involved with.
Yeah, and just one last thing that made me think. You know, I won't name my operator, but I can't remember in the whole time I've been with them even starting the conversation up about secondary devices. Do you think there's still a lot of sort of latent sort of commercial potential there for operators and retailers and whoever to step up a bit more on this?
Absolutely, I think there is. There's a gap, and there certainly is still a gap for the people that want to trade in the devices. How do they actually go about it? Do they have confidence in the provider? You know, we've got data security issues, of course, which are front and centre of people's minds in terms of data privacy. But yeah, I think there is a gap, and if there's a deluge of people wanting to trade in the devices, which we believe there will be, then it's super important for the people who are involved in that whole ecosystem to kind of make sure that they give the customer a good experience, right? And so if it's the first time they've ever traded in a device, then if it's a nice, good experience, they get good value, a residual value for the phone. I mean, let's not forget, Scott, these new devices are super expensive. And if you've just bought a device maybe a year ago, you've probably spent a reasonable amount of money. So to be able to capture some residual value in that is going to be pretty important if you're going to want to spend out a lot more money on a new device. So being able to manage that process for the customer, and if you do it well, then once you're in that process, then they'll always want to trade in their device, and you'll always be able to generate revenue further down the line. So you're not just selling a new device, but you're capturing the whole ecosystem by making them come back in the next time they want to trade up, by giving them some incentive to do so.
That makes total sense. Become a habit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott.